The Gnosis of the East, Direct Experience over Belief 2. Comparing Eastern and Western mystical traditions. As I observed the Templars' deepening engagement with Eastern wisdom, I was struck by the remarkable parallels they discovered between Eastern mystical traditions and the esoteric currents of their own Western heritage. These connections allowed them to create a rich tapestry of spiritual understanding that drew from the best of both worlds. One of the most significant parallels they explored was between the Buddhist concept of emptiness, sunyata, and the Christian mystical tradition of the cloud of unknowing. Both point to a reality beyond conceptual thought, a void that is paradoxically full, a darkness brighter than any light. I remember a joint retreat held in a remote monastery in the Himalayas, where Templar adepts and Tibetan lamas engaged in a profound exchange of ideas and practices. As they delved into their respective traditions, they were amazed to find that the stages of spiritual awakening described in Vajrayana Buddhism closely mirrored the mansions of the soul outlined by Christian mystics, like Teresa of Avila. The Templars also found striking similarities between the yogic system of chakras and the Kabbalistic tree of life. Both provided maps of consciousness and energy, describing the journey from the mundane to the divine in terms of ascending levels or spheres. In their secret manuscripts, I saw intricate diagrams overlaying these systems, creating a comprehensive model of spiritual anatomy that bridged East and West. Another area of convergence was in the use of sacred sound. The Templars, long familiar with Gregorian chant, were fascinated by the power of Sanskrit mantras and Tibetan overtone chanting. They recognized that both traditions understood the vibratory nature of reality and the ability of sound to alter consciousness and invoke the divine. I observed Templar initiates experimenting with combining these sound practices. In candlelit chambers, the solemn tones of Kyrie eleison would blend seamlessly into the resonant Om Mani Padme Hum, creating a symphony of devotion that seemed to transcend cultural and religious boundaries. The concept of the Guru, or spiritual master, was another point of deep reflection for the Templars. While they had their own tradition of spiritual mentorship, the Eastern emphasis on the Guru-disciple relationship and a vehicle for transmission of enlightenment was both intriguing and challenging to them. It led to rich discussions about the nature of spiritual authority and the balance between individual gnosis and lineage tradition. Perhaps most profoundly, the Templars recognized in Eastern traditions a confirmation of their own highest Christian ideals. The Buddhist emphasis on compassion emanated with Christ's teaching of love. The Hindu concept of tattvamasi, thou art, that echoed the mystical Christian understanding of union with God. These comparisons and connections allowed the Templars to deepen their own spiritual practice, while also expanding their understanding of the universality of mystical experience. They came to see that, while the outer forms and languages might differ, the inner reality touched by mystics of all traditions is fundamentally the same. Zoran's reflections, experiencing the divine in the everyday. Now, dear seekers, allow me to share some personal reflections on this great quest for direct experience of the divine. For you see, as a being who has witnessed the turning of ages and the rise and fall of civilizations, I have come to understand that the greatest mysteries are often hidden in plain sight. The Templars, in their pursuit of Gnosis, sometimes fell into the trap of seeking the extraordinary grand visions, explosive enlightenment experiences, miraculous powers. While these have their place, I gently guided them towards a subtler and ultimately more profound truth. The divine is present in every moment, in every breath, in the most ordinary of experiences. I remember a crisp autumn morning when I took a group of Templar adepts for a walk in the forests of Mount Lebanon. As we moved in silence, I encouraged them to open all their senses to feel the crunch of leaves beneath their feet, to smell the rich earth and fragrant pines, to taste the cool mountain air, to hear the rustling of branches and calls of birds, to see the interplay of light and shadow. Suddenly, one of the knights stopped in his tracks, his eyes wide with wonder. "It's all alive," he whispered. "Everything is conscious, everything is divine." In that moment of total presence, he had touched the living reality that the greatest sages of East and West have pointed to throughout the ages. This lesson that the divine is not something to be sought in some far-off heaven or extraordinary state, but to be recognized here and now in the fabric of everyday experience became central to the Templars' practice of Gnosis. They learned to find the sacred in the simplest acts: seating, walking, working, even fighting when necessary. I guided them in practices drawn from various traditions that cultivated this awareness. From Zen, they learned to bring mindfulness to every action. From Sufism, they practiced seeing the beloved in every face. From Christian contemplatives, they explored finding God's presence in the midst of the market, as well as the monastery. One practice that many Templars found particularly powerful was a form of continuous prayer or mantra repetition, synchronized with the breath. Whether they used the Jesus prayer of the Christian East, the Shahada of Islam, or a Sanskrit mantra, the effect was the same: a constant remembrance of the divine presence throughout their daily activities. I remember one Templar commander who became so adept at this practice that his very presence seemed to radiate peace and awareness. In the heat of battle, he moved with a preternatural calm, each sword stroke a testament to focused consciousness. Yet in moments of repose, he found the same divine presence in the play of sunlight on his blade or the sound of wind in the olive groves. This understanding that Gnosis is not a fleeting state or a one-time experience, but a continuous recognition of the divine in every moment was perhaps the greatest gift that the wisdom of the East brought to the Templars. It transformed them from seekers of esoteric knowledge into living embodiments of awakened consciousness. And so, dear listeners, as you contemplate these teachings, remember that the same opportunity for a direct experience of the divine is available to you in every moment. The Gnosis sought by sages and knights of old is not hidden in far-off temples or secret scrolls. It is here, now, in the very experience of being alive. The legacy of the Templars' quest for Gnosis lives on, not in dusty relics or hidden treasures, but in the timeless invitation to wake up to the miracle of existence. May you, like those valiant knights of old, find the courage to look beyond beliefs and doctrines and taste directly the wine of divine presence that flows through every moment of your life. For in the end, true Gnosis is not something to be attained, but something to be recognized: the ever-present reality of your own divine nature, shining through the simple, sacred acts of everyday life.